Hello and welcome virtually to the Lucky Penny Community Arts Center. I'm Barry Martin, happy to be co-founder and managing director of Lucky Penny Productions. The last several years we've been thrilled to host Poetry Out Loud, and we're doing it again, but this time on film to keep everybody safe. Before we get started, thank you to our panel of judges, and leading off those thanks, we mentioned County Supervisor Brad Wagenknecht. Also in our judges panel, Aisha Rivera. Dominic Triglia is also part of the judging panel, and not to be overlooked, published poet Marianne Lyon, who you will hear more from in just a moment. And also Jennifer Jordan is our accuracy judge, and she is from the Oxbow School. Special thanks to the teachers who bring the inspiration to these students in those classrooms, whether virtual or in person, of course. And they've had their hands full this year trying to keep it all together. Thanks to the teachers, Justin-Siena from Napa High, Laura Kelley-Weakley from Justin-Siena, Jennifer LaMonte from Vintage, Austin Peletta from Boys and Girls Club, and Nancy Hale from New Technology High School. Our recitation coach for this year, Joseph O'Malley, also getting some thank yous. And the sponsor recognition is important. Thanks to the sponsors of Poetry Out Loud, the California Arts Council, National Endowment for the Arts, the Poetry Foundation, Napa Book Mine, and Lucky Penny Productions. And now we're happy to welcome in to lead off the Poetry Out Loud event for 2021. Here's Marianne Lyon.
Hello, I'm Marianne Lyon, and I am a poet, and I applaud all of you for all the work you do and all that you love of poetry. This poem I'd like to read is called Applaud. This dawn I applaud. I applaud sun rising, warming my hair, inviting my shadow to make her entrance for one more saunter on this blessed blue marble. I applaud sun's golden melody, applaud the way she composes morning overture, demanding to be heard. I lift my hands in adoration, applaud inevitable dissonance, applaud promise of harmony. I applaud these early hours, the way they wrap my body with blanketed themes, reoccurrings, repetitions, some major moments, some minor cacophony. I applaud repetitions that give me another chance to make memories memorable. I applaud my awakened heart for keeping the beat. I applaud my voice, improvising familiar longings. I applaud the applaud myself for choosing to applaud, for taking one more jaunt, basking in sun's gentle refrain. I applaud that I can applaud another concert. Thank you.
The poem I will be reciting is called One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys and the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love. I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster.
I'll be reciting the poem A Time to Believe by B.J. Morbitzer. To believe is to know that every day is a new beginning, is to trust that miracles happen and dreams really do come true. To believe is to see angels dancing among the clouds, to know the wonder of a stardust sky and the wisdom of the man in the moon. To believe is to know the value of a nurturing heart, the innocence of a child's eyes, and the beauty of an aging hand. For it's through their teachings we learn to love. To believe is to find the strength and courage that lies within us when it's time to pick up the pieces and begin again. To believe is to know we are not alone, that life is a gift and this is our time to cherish it. To believe is to know that wonderful surprises are just waiting to happen, and all our hopes and dreams are within reach, if only we believe.
Ways of Talking by Ha Jin. We used to like talking about grief. Our journals and letters were packed with losses, complaints, and sorrows. Even if there was no grief, we wouldn't stop lamenting, as though longing for the charm of a distressed face. Then, we couldn't help expressing grief. So many things descended without warning. Labor wasted, loves lost, houses gone, marriages broken, friends estranged, ambitions worn away by immediate needs. Words lined up in our throats for a good whining. Grief seemed like an endless river, the only immortal flow of life. After losing a land and then giving up a tongue, we stopped talking of grief. Smiles began to brighten our faces. We laugh a lot at our own mess. Things become beautiful, even hailstones in the strawberry fields.
The Legend by Garrett Hongo. In Chicago, it is snowing softly, and a man has just done his wash for the week. He steps into the twilight of early evening carrying a wrinkled shopping bag full of neatly folded clothes, and, for a moment, enjoys the feeling of warm cloth and crinkled paper, flannel-like, against his gloveless hands. There's a Rembrandt glow on his face, a triangle of orange in the hollow of his cheek, as the last flash of sunset blazes the storefronts and lit windows of the street. He is Asian, Thai, or Vietnamese, and very skinny, dressed as one of the poor, in crumpled suit and plaid mackinaw, dingy and too large. He negotiates the sleek of ice on the sidewalk to his car. He opens the Fairlane's back door and leans to place the laundry in, and is turned, in an instant, by a flurry of footsteps and cries of pedestrians. As a boy, that's all he was. He backs away from the corner packing store, shooting a pistol, firing at once at the dumbfounded man, who falls forward, clutching his chest. A few noises escape the man's mouth, an incoherent babbling no one understands. Pedestrians begin to gather round, confused at the sound. The noises he makes are nothing to them. Tonight, I read about Descartes' grand courage to doubt everything except his own miraculous existence, and I feel so distinct from the wounded man lying on the concrete. I am ashamed. Let the night sky cover him as he dies. Let the weaver girl cross the bridge of heaven and take up his cold hands.
This is Uptown, Minneapolis, Minnesota by Nguyen. Even though it's May and the ice cream truck parked outside my apartment is somehow certain, I find it impossible to believe that winter is somehow, all of a sudden, over. The worst one of my life, the woman at the bank tells me. Though I try to be, it's impossible to be prepared for everything. Even the mundane hum of my phone catches me off guard today. All the voices that say my name are voices I don't think I could possibly leave. It's unfair to not ask for the things you need. Even though I think about it often, even though leaving is a train headed somewhere I'd probably hate. Crossing Lyndale to meet a friend for a cup of coffee, I have to maneuver around a hearse that's pulled too far into the crosswalk. It's empty. Perhaps spring is here. Perhaps it will all be worth it. Even though I knew, even then, it was worth it. Staying, I mean. Even now, I know someone, somewhere, is waiting for me.
Fairytale, with Laryngitis and Resignation Letter by Jehan Dubrow. You remember the mermaid makes a deal, her tongue evicted from her throat, and moving is a knife cut with every step. This is what escape from water means. Dear colleagues, you write, for weeks I've been typing this letter in the bright kingdom of my imagination. Your body is a ship of pain. Pleasure is when you climb the rocks and watch the moonlight touching everywhere you want to go. A silver world called Far Away. Dear colleagues, you write, this place is a few sentences contained by the cursor's rippling barrier. What happened here is only beaks and brackets, the serif's liquid stroke. The old story has witches, a prince in love with the surging silence of women, a knife that turns the water red. You write, dear colleagues, now these years are filed in the infinite oceans of bureaucracy. Everything bleaches or fades. In other words, goodbye. Sometimes it's possible to walk, although you've been told inside the oyster shell of your heart there is no soul. Creatures like you must end as a spray of salt. Green droplets floating, breathless, in the air. Thank you.
Happiness by Jane Kenyon. There's just no accounting for happiness, or the way it turns up like a prodigal who comes back to the dust at your feet, having squandered a fortune far away. And how can you not forgive? You make a feast in honor of what was lost, and take from its place the finest garment, which you saved for an occasion that you could not imagine. And you weep night and day to know that you were not abandoned, that happiness saved its most extreme form for you alone. No, happiness is the uncle you never knew about, who flies a single-engine plane onto the grassy landing strip, hitchhikes into town, and inquires at every door until he finds you, asleep, mid-afternoon, as you so often are during the unmerciful hours of your despair. It comes to the monk in his cell. It comes to the woman sweeping the street with a birch broom, to the child whose mother has passed out from drink. It comes to the lover, to the dog chewing a sock, to the pusher, to the basket maker, and to the clerk, stacking cans of carrots in the night. It even comes to the boulder and the perpetual shade of pine barrens, to rain falling on the open sea, to the wineglass, weary of holding wine.
The poem I will be reciting is called Our Deepest Fear by Marianne. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask yourself, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
I'll be reciting the poem The Rose That Grew from Concrete by Tupac Shakur. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's long is wrong, it learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared.
I Remember by Thomas Hood. I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. I remember the roses red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built, and where my brother set the laburnum on his birthday. The tree is living yet. I remember where I was used to swing and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, that is so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. I remember the fir trees dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now 'tis little joy to know I'm farther off from heaven than when I was a boy.
A Vision in Which the Final Blackbird Disappears by Philip B. Williams. A monstrosity in the alley. A many-bodied movement grouped for terror, their flight's brief shadow on the kitchen curtains and street reliquaries of loose squares and hustle. Some minds are groomed for defiance. The youngest calls out his territory with strong vowels, where light spills peculiar, his hand a chorus of heat and recoil. Could have been a doctor, say those who knew and did not know him. He never wanted to know what gargles endlessly in a human body, wet hives, planets unspooled from their throbbing shapes. There are many ways to look at this. He got what he wished against. His feet grew wings in exchange for a sacrifice. The postulate that stars turn a blind eye to the cobalt corners of a room is incorrect. Light only helps or ruins sight. Daylight does cruel things to a boy's face.
This is Apollo by Elizabeth Alexander. We pull off to a road shack in Massachusetts to watch men walk on the moon. We did the same for 3, 2, 1, blast off, and now we watch the same men bounce in and out of craters. I want a Coke and hamburger. Since the men are walking on the moon, which is now irrefutably not green, not cheese, not a shiny dime floating in a cold blue the way I'd thought, the Road Shack folk don't notice we're a black family, not from there, the way it mostly goes. This talkin' static, bounces in space, boots tethered to cords, is much stranger even than we are.
Poem by Jory Graham. The earth said, "Remember me." The earth said, "Don't let go." Said it one day when I was accidentally listening. I heard it. I felt it, like temperature, all said in a whisper. Build, tomorrow, make right, befall. You are not free. Other scenes are not taking place. Time is not filled. Time is not late. There is a thing the emptiness needs, as you need emptiness. It shrinks from light again and again, although all things are present, a fact a day, a bird that warps the arithmetic of perfection with its arc, passing again and again in the evening air, in the prevailing wind, making no mistake. Year indifference is year principle beauty. The mind says all the time, I hear it everywhere. The earth said, remember me, I am the earth. It said, remember me. Thank you.
How to Triumph Like a Girl by Ada Limon. I like the lady horses best. How they make it all look easy, like running 40 miles per hour is as fun as taking a nap or grass. I like their lady horse swagger after winning. Ears up, girls, ears up. But mainly, let's be honest, I like that they're ladies, as if this big, dangerous animal is a part of me, that somewhere inside the delicate skin of my body there pumps an 8-pound female horse heart, giant with power, heavy with blood. Don't you want to believe it? Don't you want to lift my shirt and see the huge, beating genius machine that thinks, no, it knows it's going to come in first?
And so the judges have made their decisions, and it's time to congratulate this year's Poetry Out Loud winner in first place, Elizabeth Soria Ceja. And congratulations as well to this year's runner-up, Emma Ordonez Enos. Thanks again to all the teachers, the coaches, the students participating. Thanks to the organizers and thanks to the sponsors of Poetry Out Loud. We'll see you again next year